This is Donna, welcome to DD Paper Crafts, and in today's video we're going to be making this chest style gift box which has a hinge lid and an optional inner tray. The overall dimensions are 7 inches by 4 inches deep. The box section is 4 inches high without the lid and 5.5 inches high in total with the lid. The project will take approximately 4.5 sheets of A4 cardstock, excluding anything that you use for matting and layering. So let's get started. We're going to start with the bottom portion of the box, and for the back and front panels you'll need 2 pieces which measure 8 inches by 4.5 inches. Along the 8-inch side, score at 1/2 inch and 7.5 inches, and along the 4.5-inch side, score at 4 inches. Repeat that on both pieces. And for the base of the box, you'll need 1 piece which is 7 by 4. Take your front and back panel, fold and burnish along the score lines. We're now going to create our glue tabs. With your long side facing you, cut up the first score line and remove the corner like so. Repeat at the other end, remove the corner and then cut a wedge into the ends of each of the glue tabs. And repeat that on both pieces. For the end panels you'll need 2 pieces which are 4 by 4.5, and along the 4.5 inch side score at 4. Fold and burnish the score lines and cut a wedge at the end of the glue tab like so. We're now going to add our pieces together. Add glue to one of the glue tabs on the long side and add on your short side piece, lining up the score lines because we can always trim the top. Line that up, make sure that's sitting nice and squarely. Take our next panel, add glue to the glue tab, lay on your end side panels. Again, I'm just going to fold that over and make sure that sits nice and parallel and squarely. And then take your end panel, add all the 4 pieces together. All over your side panel, add glue to the final tab and flip over the other end to join the 4 pieces up. And that's the main skeleton. Flip your piece upside down, so we've got our base tabs at the top. Fold in the 2 side hinges and just add some glue in the corners just so that these can secure as we're gluing it down. Fold in my long tabs like so. And then add glue all the way round. Take my base panel and adhere that into place, just squaring up the side panels as I move around to put that into shape. Flip it over and just push down the tabs from the inside just to make sure they're sitting flat. And at this stage you may want to consider what you're going to have in the box and what weight cardstock you've used, because you may want to add in an additional base at this stage before we put in the supports for the tray. I've got an additional piece of cardstock here which is just under 7 inches by 4 inches, and I'm going to glue this into the base of the box using my construction glue. We're now going to create the supports for the tray, which are going to sit inside the base of the box. And I've got 8 pieces of cardstock, which are 1 inch wide by 2 7/8 of an inch. And along the 1 inch side, I'm going to score up 1/2 an inch. Fold and burnish each piece. Add your glue or tape, would give you a nice clean look. I'm going to add it to both sides and sit one support inside another, like so. Do that on all 8 pieces to create your 4 supports. So we now want to add our supports in, and the easiest way I've found is add glue to your inside, push your support right down flush with the base along one side. So I'm working on this side here first. I'm going to push that in right up to the corner, go in with my score tool, and then I'm going to flip the box round and push the other side down. And then once that's sitting squarely, I'm just going to work on each side one at a time, just burnishing that into place. And that's now sitting squarely in there like so. So do that on all 4 corners. So my 4 supports are now added to the box base. We're now going to add the lip, which is going to help the lid to fit onto the base of the box. I've got one piece which is 8 inches by 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to score at 1/2 an inch and 7.5 inches. I've got 2 pieces which are 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch, and on the 4 inch pieces make a pencil mark along the top at 1/2 an inch and down the side at 1/4 of an inch, like so. And we're just going to cut diagonally across the ends. So do that on both pieces. Take your 8 inch piece and fold and burnish along the score lines, and just cut a wedge into the ends to create the glue tabs. And we're going to join our pieces together, so our 2 smaller ends are going to go either side. Add glue to my tabs, join the pieces up, and just make sure that sits parallel. Do the same at this end. And you want to pay more attention to getting your top edges aligned rather than your bottom edges, because it's your top edge that is going to be more evident. Take your base. I'm going to add glue along between the end of the diagonal on the outside and the bottom edge. That's going to give me my guide. Fold my 2 side pieces in, and I'm going to sit it, line up the bottom left hand corner, the top, this left hand corner first, push it in, and then come round to the sides, and I'm just lining the end of the diagonal up with the top edge of the box. And you just want to get that as level as you can, and that's the lip which is going to hold the lid in place. Just get rid of this excess glue, and I'm just going to go inside with my score tool and just burnish around each of the insides just to get that into place. We're now going to create the lid. and for the lid you'll need 2 pieces which are 11.5 by 2, and on each piece we're going to score at 7 and 11. Now if you have letter size, which I think is shorter than A4, just score at 11, and all it will mean is that you'll have a glue tab which is slightly smaller than 1/2 inch. And along the 2-inch side, score at 1 and 1.5. Rotate your piece back. I've got my 1/2 inch glue tab on the left hand side and my 1-inch section at the bottom, and we're going to score within the top 1/2 inch section only at 1 inch, 4 inches, 5 inches and 11 inches. We're creating 4 additional score lines within the top 1/2 inch strip. So do that on both pieces. Fold and burnish. We're now going to create the glue tabs within this section here, and the glue tabs are going to be within the long section. Take your stylus and ruler, and we're going to make a diagonal score line between the end of this additional score line diagonally across here, and we're going to do the same at the end of this additional score line and score diagonally across to here. So the long sections are going to have the glue tabs. So I'm going to place my stylus at the end of the additional score line, line my ruler up with the end of my score line on the outside edge, up to my stylus and score. And that's created a diagonal like so. Move along to the next additional score line, place my stylus in, move my ruler so the end is lined up like so, and I've created another diagonal score line between the end here and the centre here. Take your scissors, we're going to work from left to right, cut down the first additional score line like so, rotate and cut along to remove the outer corner. So our end looks like this. And then we want to cut a slight wedge from the end, like so. Move along to the next additional, cut down, like so. Move along to the next 7-inch score line and cut down to the end of the diagonal, like so. Rotate and cut away the top square. And then cut a slight wedge. So our middle long section now looks like this. Move along to the next additional, cut down the additional or up the additional, and then across diagonally to the end like so. Cut a slight wedge from here, and then finally move along to the last additional, cut up, cut along across diagonally to the end where the glue tab starts, like so. Rotate, remove that section, cut a wedge into the end and cut a wedge from the additional. So your lid piece currently looks like this. We're now going to fold and burnish the diagonals we created. Repeat that for both pieces. So your 2 outer rims for the lid look like this. I'm going to add glue to one of the ends of the glue tab and join up the pieces. We want to concentrate on getting the 1 inch score line lined up, because that's going to make everything else neater. And then we're going to work our way along. I'm going to move along to the first diagonal glue tab, add my glue, pull around my piece and line up my diagonal score line with my diagonal cut line. So I'm just pulling that round. So once that's grabbed, move along to the next and repeat. I'm just pushing the tab from behind just to make sure that sits in place. And you may feel at this moment in time that your piece looks slightly skew with, and that's because at the moment it doesn't have the rigidity, so therefore the angled piece here is not sitting as it will eventually. Move along to the next one, add your glue, push and hold that in place, and then finally add your glue to your end glue tab, push that squarely, add the glue to the final diagonal and join that piece up. So that's our lid, and for the top internal panel here, I would measure between your score lines around the top, so the distance between this score line and this score line and this score line and this score line, because you might be slightly different with your diagonals. My piece is 6 1/8 by 3 1/8, and I'm just going to lay that on the top and then burnish that down from the inside. So that is our lid. And you may want to cut an additional piece just to go on the inside lid here to tidy that up. That's entirely personal preference. We now want to join the lid and the box together. For our hinge, I've got a piece which is 6 7/8 inches long by 1 inch, and I'm going to score along the 1 inch side at 1/2 inch, and then fold and burnish along the 1/2 inch score line. And you want to burnish this in both directions so the hinge can move freely. Add glue to one of the 1/2 inch sections, pinch the hinge over and place the hinge inside up against the back edge of the box and push down from the top so the score line of the hinge is running along the top edge of the box, and push that down as much as you can. See, if I lift my hinge up, you can see the score line is just sitting above the top edge of the box. Take your lid, and what we're going to do is add glue onto this piece, push our lid up against the back of the hinge and then push the hinge over. Now you decide which way you're going to find this easier. You might decide it easier to come in at it from the side. You might decide it's easier to come in at it from the top and hold it in place. What you want to do is you need to make sure that your lid, once it's glued, before it finally sticks, make sure that your lid sits squarely on the top of the box, and that your hinge at the back, the score line, remains horizontal. I'm going to add my glue, and I'm going to use construction glue, for the strength and because it gives me a bit more wiggle room than the quick grab glue. I'm going to line, I'll try and show you this way, line my lid up with the edge of the lid of the box and try and line up the ends. Push my hinge over and get my box lid pushed right up against the score line of the hinge, and I'm just going to work my way along, making sure that that is sitting squarely. And before that glue dries, I'm just going to flip my lid over and make sure that the lid goes on the box nicely, which it does. Make sure it's sitting squarely at the back, and then I'm going to remove that and just push that down. Push from the inside all the way along and press burnish with my score tool. So it's a little bit fiddly, but you can see my lid is in place, and if I flip that over, my lid sits at the front nicely. So set that aside to dry. We're now going to create our tray, which is a very simple construction. I've cut my cardstock to 1/16 under 9 inches times 1/16 under 6 inches. And I've cut it to that length just to allow for the fact that on the inside we've got an additional piece of cardstock on all 4 sides. I'm going to score around all 4 sides at 1 inch. Fold and burnish, and with the short side facing you, cut up the first score line. Sorry, my fingers and nails have been ruined by all-purpose glue today, like so, and then cut a wedge into the corner glue tabs, like so. Repeat, rotate and repeat at the other end. So I will go add my glue on all 4 tabs, and we're now just going to create our box. So do that on all 4 corners. So that's our tray, and you should find that your tray slots down on top of your supports. And if necessary, if you're finding that your tray is slipping down, just cut another piece of cardstock and add it to the inside of your support section here. What I'm going to do, because of the cardstock I'm using, I'm going to cut an additional 4 supports, and I'm going to add these on top of the supports which are already on the inside. So if I put my tray in now, that now sits where it should on top of my supports. I'm going to now create my dividers. So I've measured the internal width of the box, which is 1/16 under 4 inches, and I've then added on an inch for a 1/2 inch glue tab at either end. So my piece is 1/16 of an inch under 5 inches, and I've cut it to 7/8 of an inch high plus a 1/2 an inch. So it is 1/16 under 1.5 inches. So along the short side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch to create my 1/2 inch glue tab. And then I'm going to score up along the long side at 1/2 inch, rotate and score at 1/2 inch. Fold and burnish along all of the score lines. With this long side facing me, I'm going to cut away the outer corners like so, and I'm just making sure that I've cut away the score lines and cutting the slightest angle, and I'm going to leave the top edges square and then adjust as necessary. Fold in all of your tabs and check that your divider is the right length, which mine is. And what I'm going to do to adhere is fold one end glue tab over to the left and one end glue tab over to the right. Add my glue to the bottom glue tab like so. Add my glue to both ends. Decide where I want my divider. So I'm going to have it here. Slip my bottom glue tab in, make sure that's straight, and then pull in the sides of the box and just let that take. You measure the length of strip that you want depending on where your dividers are. I've made the height of my divider 1/8 of an inch shorter than the side of the box. That will just make sure that it fits in nicely. So that's my divider. So that is our box ready for decoration. So I'm now going to go ahead with decorating my box base, and then I will come back and show you the final piece. Here's the finished box. You can see I've matted and layered with gold and red cardstock, and I'd heat embossed an oriental design on the red cardstock. I stamped, fussy cut and double layered up one of the stamped images, and then I made a small tassel just to go on the front. Obviously that helps to indicate that this is the front of the box. I did add the extra piece of cardstock in to hide the hinges on the inside, and I have added cardstock into the inside of the tray, which has also helped to add some strength to the base cardstock that I've used. Overall, I'm very happy with how this box has turned out, and I think it's a very adaptable box and has a very stylish look about it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.